Zion Williamson sprained his ankle the other night, and as trivial of an injury as this seems, I'm here to tell you that it's actually kind of a big deal. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and if you're new here and you enjoy learning about sports injuries and sort of the underlying anatomy and mechanisms, then please be sure and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date with all future videos. When you have an injury history like Zion's and that type of playing style and build, there's always going to be more scrutiny about every little injury moment. The other night as Zion was driving in here, he suffered a non-contact, which is important, low ankle sprain of his left ankle. You can see here as he drives in, there's a little bit of a bump from the Miami defender, but it's non-contact because his foot doesn't land on anything. It basically just rolls on its own. And it's this non-contact mechanism specifically that makes this something that is actually worth talking about and properly addressing. He was considered day-to-day, and of course, after that game, made some comments in his press conference about, Twitter doctors and doing their thing online when he really wasn't that concerned at all. These innocuous, non-contact ankle sprains can wreak havoc on an athlete's career if they're not given the proper time and attention. Just ask this guy where his career was headed before he figured out how to prevent these sprains. To quickly point out the difference and make sure we're on the same page here, when I say a contact ankle sprain, I'm talking about something like what happened with LaMelo Ball. Basically, when you come down, you step on another player's foot, and some sort of abnormal contact with your landing is what leads to that ankle inversion. So LaMelo's not as concerning, obviously needs treated appropriately the same way, but this is more explained because he stepped on someone else's foot. There's more of a legitimate reason for it. But with Zion, he doesn't step on anyone's foot. He basically comes down, and as his left foot tries to strike the floor, completely inverts, leading to these low ankle sprains. And that distinction is extremely important. Next, we'll dive into the anatomy and why this is such a big deal, plus what to do about it. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. This video is sponsored by Harry's. I don't know any guy that enjoys shaving. It takes time, it can be painful, and all those razors can add up to a lot of money. Harry's is a personal care company that's gonna help change all that by offering high quality and affordable shaving products. Each razor has 5 premium German blades for a smooth, close, and comfortable shave. The new two-tone handle design is nice and weighted for a really comfortable feel while you're shaving. And their foaming shave gel is perfect for sensitive skin and leaves your face feeling nice and comfortable. Redeem your starter set for just $5 when you click the link in the description or head to harrys.com/BrianMD. You'll get a 5-blade razor, weighted handle in the color of your choice, a blade cover, and their foaming shave gel. Harry's can also help you out by sending regular blade refills. I have a terrible habit of using razor blades for far too long because I just forget about going to the store to get refills. Harry's is gonna remember for you and do it in an affordable way. And hey, if you're not satisfied, they offer a 100% money back guarantee. Remove some of the stress from shaving and switch to a high quality and affordable shaving routine by checking out Harry's today at harrys.com/BrianMD. Thank you again to Harry's for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to our learning. With our biodigital anatomy tool here, I've highlighted the key structures on the lateral or outside portion of a left ankle. Now, of course, our ligaments that are typically injured with a low ankle sprain are important here for discussion, but we've covered them a lot, and I want to talk instead about some of the active stabilizers of your joint. Passive stabilizers are the ligaments. They can't move. They sit there, they're inert, they're not changing based on what you do. But the active stabilizers, like the muscles around your joints, can fire. They can contract to help provide stability and support to the joint. 2 key ones when it comes to these inversion or low ankle sprains are the peroneus longus and the peroneus brevis. They're muscles that sit on the outside or the lateral compartment of your lower leg. And if we look at where their tendons come down and insert, one of them inserts on the base of that 5th metatarsal, which remember was the bone that Zion fractured on his other foot. Then the other one sort of wraps underneath the foot to go over towards the 1st metatarsal. When these muscles fire, what they do is they evert the foot. That's the opposite of what happened with the sprain. So eversion is when the foot is pulled out this direction. That means that these muscles are important to help stabilize and prevent that inversion of the ankle when it goes into a mechanism like Zion's. Muscles all the way up at the hip are also important here because what's being done to stabilize the hip and the trunk affect things downstream. And so poor control of the hips can lead to more instability problems at the ankle, which was a big part of how Curry turned his career around, of course, was really working on his hip strength and his dynamic postural control. The key word here is proprioception, which is a term that means how our body understands where it is in space. If you close your eyes and you put your arm out in front of you, proprioception is what allows you to recognize if your hand is straight in front of you or if it's off to the side, if your palm is up or if your palm is down. We have sensors all throughout the soft tissues, the ligaments, the tendons, the muscles in our body that based on their stretch, based on their position, sends a signal back to our brain to tell our brain where our limb is in space. With Zion here, as he's driving into the lane, proprioception is what's trying to help him determine where his left foot is in relation to the rest of his body. It's happening with all of his limbs. So we can see even as he steps before with his right foot, proprioception is telling him where his right foot is, controlling that descent downward to the ground, keeping everything with his right ankle stable. But then there's a little bit of a knock from the defender, throws off the system a little bit. And so the system has to react to now understand, all right, as my left foot is about to land in this position, where is it? What's happening? As we can see from the start, it's in a bad spot. And so his muscles are trying to react, his body's trying to react in a way to control the descent of that ankle, control the foot so that it doesn't ultimately invert. But as we saw, his muscles, his body wasn't able to do that. And this isn't necessarily a knock against Zion. A lot of people are really deficient in this area and don't correct it until something like a sprain happens that forces them to improve these things. This is, again, what happened with Steph Curry. Research shows that roughly 30 to 40% of people who have one low ankle sprain will go on to develop what we call chronic ankle instability, which can be functional, meaning the muscles and the balancing structures, or mechanical, meaning just the sort of looseness of the ligaments. But either way, that's a huge percentage of people that after just one sprain can go on to have repeat problems with instability. So it sounds trivial, but that's why I always get concerned when we see these non-contact, more proprioceptive-based ankle sprains in professional athletes, because oftentimes they're minor enough in terms of symptoms where they might just get brushed away, kind of swept under the rug, but those deficits still persist. If those deficits are not addressed in terms of controlling dynamic balance, postural control, improving proprioception from everywhere, including up at the hip muscles down to the ankle, and even implementing things like ankle braces, you can lead to just these recurrent sprains, which of course can be detrimental to an athlete's career. Thankfully, this was the opposite foot that Zion had his fracture on, and so that is reassuring to know that he didn't put any excess pressure or stress on his surgical site from before. But with everything else we've talked about with Zion, hopefully you understand where that level of urgency comes in to implement those sort of corrective exercises and try to address these things. Now, hopefully the team behind the scenes is doing that and not just brushing this under the rug, because like I said, there's a high risk that these ankle sprains can go on to chronic instability. When you play as aggressive, when you cut as aggressively as Zion does, you're going to put that ankle in more vulnerable positions. And in my opinion, makes it even more important to be sure you're implementing those specific dynamic postural control exercises to improve that ankle stability and control and hopefully limit future ankle sprains. I went into more detail on this regarding Steph Curry, about some of the exercises and things they do. Check that out if you want to learn more in the cards. And if you're an athlete watching this, I want you to take away from this video that it's important to properly manage these ankle sprains. Even though you might feel better in a few days and be ready to go out and play, you really need to know what those functional deficits might be so that you can get the proper treatment, the proper prehab to hopefully get those ankles stronger and prevent future sprains. That's it for the video, everybody. Thank you again to Harry's for sponsoring this video. Again, check out the link in the description down below to get that awesome deal on one of their starter sets and take advantage of just a really nice and efficient shaving system. Let me know as always any questions or comments down below, and until next time, we'll see you later.